What's going on, guys? Welcome to the video. Spiked columnist Brendan O'Neill appeared on Sky News last night with Yazmin Brown, discussing Sir Keir Starmer's bid for the Labour leadership that is doing the rounds in today's newspapers. Now, in true Labour fashion, Yazmin gets overly salty at Brendan O'Neill for simply stating the truth about Remainer Keir Starmer's chances of winning the next election if he won the race to succeed Jeremy Corbyn. She also considers a government having a majority to be an elected dictator. I expect she did not think the same when Tony Blair had a massive majority in the late 90s though. It's yet more bemoaning from her, which is nothing new, but the outrage she shows towards Brendan O'Neill during this segment was hilarious. Maybe she is just outraged for the sake of being outraged, and likely still bitter the Labour Party got annihilated at the last election, which you will see some of that instantaneous salt in the first clip we have here.
My view is that Keir Starmer is too intimately linked with the Remain campaign. I mean, he was forefront off the campaign for a second referendum, for overthrowing the vote for Brexit. And the problem that Labour has had, or the problem it has, now, this might turn out to be a good thing, it could be a bad thing, but the reason it lost so many of those Northern and Midlands and Welsh seats is, firstly, because people didn't trust Corbyn, and secondly, because of the Brexit issue. They were heavily Brexit voting areas. And, let me finish, the thing is, I think Labour is at a crossroads now, and it has to ask itself, is it going to be the party of the metropolitan middle classes and students and people in the south? Or is it going to try and reach back to its traditional heartlands and the people it was founded to represent? And if they go with someone who is super Remain, then they will make the choice for themselves and they will no longer be a party of the working class.
Now, I don't know about you guys, but he literally said nothing that is not true, and certainly none of it was in any way offensive. She gets salty when he points out Labour lost its heartlands because it focused on the metropolitan elites in London and elsewhere, rather than the core base it was formed to stand up for. Anyone would think he had just thrown abuse at her mother or something, not pointed out what is clearly obvious for all to see. Labour abandoned the Leave vote and working class, with its Remainer elite MPs calling Leave voters stupid gammon, and of course their anti-democratic Brexit stance. The election has shown that to them, and of course the fact the Corbynated chicken is an unelectable fuckpig. The writing is on the wall, and to be honest, it has been for a long time, even if Aisha does her best to deny it. But let's move on, because the salty rage has not finished yet.
Excuse me, we do not live in North Korea. We do not live in North Korea. There cannot be an injunction on all politicians of every party to be Brexiters. We are not in North Korea. We actually now do have an elected dictatorship. We have an overbearing majority of Brexiters. What we do need is people who still speak for somebody like me and thousands and millions of others. So you can't decide that a leader of the Labour Party... So what? The next thing is every Quango leader, every person has to swear they're Brexiters?
I've got no influence.
You want to take over? What kind of Democrat are you?
I've got no influence at all on the Labour Party, and I'm quite relieved that I don't.
So that maybe everybody should be a Brexiter because you are a Brexiter?
Maybe it should become the party for people like you, Yazmin. That's absolutely fine. It will become the party of the media elites. And it will no longer be the party of people in Wrexham and people in Blackpool South and people in Blythe Valley. Now, if Labour is OK with that, that's fine.
I'm glad he laughed at her when she said we are not like North Korea. I'm pretty sure nothing he said insinuated that he wanted us to be like North Korea, but we do get the most ridiculous statement we have likely heard since the election following that. We actually do now have an elected dictator, is her claim. And I must say, what the actual fuck? Please someone explain to me how a majority government is an elected dictator, because I really don't see it. Last I checked, Boris has not disbanded the undemocratic Lib Dems, Labour or SNP parties, so we still have opposition, with elections held every 5 years. Though that might change with Boris planning to get rid of the Fixed Term Parliaments Act, that, as you will likely all remember, allowed the Ramona Parliament to seize control of power from the minority Tory government and delay Brexit yet again. Much like Annalisa Dodds the other day, Yazmin does not like the fact the Ramonas no longer have a say in what the people of this country voted for after 3 years of their interfering. Therefore, Boris Johnson is now an elected dictator who is bringing about a new North Korea on the Thames. It's absolutely incredible. She seems to have a real problem with him saying Labour can't elect another Remainer because they will lose yet another election, which I'm sorry to say, Yazmin, is actually the truth. Many Labour MPs themselves have come out and said this. If you elect a Remainer, you will not get your heartlands back, because of course 99% of Labour's Remainer MPs have been running around calling us all stupid, remember. Voters will remember these people who tried to corrupt democracy and, on that basis, are highly likely not to vote for them again, especially if someone like Keir Starmer is the leader. But her rage is simply because he's pointing out Keir Starmer would be a bad choice for the Labour Party because he is a Remainer. Not that he has to wholeheartedly support Brexit, as she tried to make out that Brendan O'Neill was saying. The discussion is about the leadership, not about falling in line with Boris. The Labour Party can oppose whatever they want. They are screaming into the air with no one listening though, because of course they lost and they don't have enough MPs in Parliament to actually dictate what goes on, unlike previously, as I've said. She is clearly taking this as a personal affront to her because she is actually a big Starmer fan, when all he was saying, like I've said, is Starmer does not stand a chance at winning the next election, or any election for that matter, as it's the same with pretty much every candidate for the Labour leadership I have heard that plans to stand. None of them will worry the Tory party, in my opinion. Sky News got him on the show to discuss the papers, and he did that regarding this Keir Starmer article. And she has completely shit the bed because he points out a Remainer will not win the next election, and of course, she does not like it. What the actual fuck is she on? Her rants make no sense whatsoever and is not even relevant to what is being discussed. He is not deciding the Labour leadership, he is just giving a well-voiced and likely true opinion that Labour need to move away from these Remainer MPs who tried to subvert democracy for 3 years, even though they was all elected on a manifesto that promised to honour the referendum results. You can see the look of amazement on his face before telling her maybe Labour should become the party of the liberal elite, which I'm sorry to say I think it already has and likely won't be able to turn back from, given its membership and of course the NEC. I actually feel sorry for Brendan O'Neill having to sit there listening to her screech when she clearly did not pay attention to what the discussion was even about, or at the very least what he's actually said. But let's move on, because she's not finished yet.
I don't know, you might agree that the party needs to move a little bit further to the centre, a little bit away from... Yes, you both agree on that?
He is a centrist. He is not a Blairite, but he's a centrist. But where I don't agree with is this cliche stuff thrown out that all people who were Remainers were kind of posh. Oh, and our sin is to be educated, by the way. That's also apparently a sin. A lot of ordinary people in Liverpool, and other places
you're inferring
voted.
that all Brexiteers are uneducated.
He just said elite, metropolitan elite. I've heard this from Brendan so long.
No, but
now,
hold on. Let me say something now.
You have to tell me one thing. How are we going to oppose an elected dictatorship with other than somebody who opposes the central ideas of that elected dictatorship?
Yazmin.
Well, there she goes. Once again, did not listen to what he said in the last clip about the fact Labour might want to become the party of the media elite, since that is where they currently sit, to anyone looking in. He is not necessarily talking about them as a party of Remainers, since I would expect, like me, he thinks the Lib Dems are mainly the party of hardcore Remoaners right now. Labour are not quite there because they dilly-dallied for a long time before deciding to go with the second referendum, in my opinion. Obviously, I'm not part of the Labour Party or Lib Dems for that matter, so I don't know for sure, but it would seem that way to me. I consider the Lib Dems the party of Remain, the Labour Party to be the party of anything but doing what the people said. And of course the Tories are just the best of a bad bunch because, as you all know, I despise politicians and political parties of any affiliation. They are all liars at the end of the day, and yes, I do understand, of course, that they have to lie sometimes. But not to the degree that they have been for the last 3 years, that's for sure. But back to this video, he is simply talking about the leadership and party direction, not the education of the Labour Party's base supporters, though it seems to be concentrated in the cities right now. But according to, I believe it's Sky News' own data from the election night, the cities and built-up areas do have a massive population comprised of university-educated people. But of course, this will not be the exclusive demographic. But if I remember right, like I said, it's definitely a fair proportion of the city population. Unlike Labour, he was not bringing up their intelligence levels, he was talking about the media hags who sit on TV bemoaning constantly that they lost a referendum and have now lost another election. Or in Aisha's case, they will moan about a majority government because Remoaners can't block Brexit as they did before. But like the host pointed out, it really did sound like she was calling Leave voters stupid, which I'm not sure. She might well have done before now, it wouldn't surprise me, but is not really relevant to this video. I don't think she was actually calling Leave voters stupid there, but she is still flat wrong either way. He is talking about media elites more than he is the average voter, since it seems a lot of them have already moved away from Labour's hard left politics given the election results. Her comment about Liverpool voting Remain and Labour did make me laugh for reasons I am sure the Discord members will chuckle at, but once again only proves what we all know to be true. Labour is fast becoming the party of the inner cities, not the working class, and certainly not the rural north. Keir Starmer, of course, will continue that trend. And I back Keir Starmer for leadership. Matter of fact, I back them all for leadership. I'll be quite happy regardless of who gets in, because at the end of the day, Labour's hard left politics are never going to be accepted by the British electorate. We're too smart for that shit. But let's carry on and see what Brendan O'Neill has to say, especially considering she has just claimed for the second time we now have an elected dictator, the idiot.
What you have to appreciate, and everyone else on your side of the fence has to appreciate, is that you lost. That's how democracy works. We voted for Brexit in 2016. We voted for it again in 2017 when we voted for 80% of people voted for parties that were going to support Brexit, and we voted for it again this year by voting for Boris Johnson. We voted for Brexit now at least 3 times. Your side, the Remainers, and some of them, not all Remain voters are like this, but the Remain elite has definitely pursued a culture war against the white working classes, a culture war against democracy, and they now need to recognise they've been defeated by the will of the people.
We will never fall in line.
It's over.
This is not North Korea.
I actually love how he starts this clip. You need to appreciate you lost, the same with others on your side of the fence. We voted in 2016, voted in 2017, and again in 2019. You can bemoan on TV all you like, but as he said, you lost. Get over it. To be honest, many of us are not happy that the Brexit party didn't get any seats, but it is what it is. The people spoke again and again on the subject. He absolutely wrecks her at the end of that though, which brings out her unbridled rage. You see her face chew up when he said actually most Remainers have accepted the result, but Remain elites like her have not. It really got her back up that statement because he is destroying her fantasy that most people backed stopping Brexit, when all evidence would suggest she is wrong. Like he said over and over again, you lost, suck it up princess. Now let's move on to the final clip.
We will never fall in line with your...
Can I just say one thing?
You've spoken enough. I need to speak now. You've demeaned me and you've insulted me by calling me part of the elite. I am not... No.
We're both part of the media elite, I think.
Excuse me. So if you're part of the elite, how come I'm guilty and you're not? You use your elitism to brainwash people in one way.
Can I just say one more tiny thing? Democracy depends on losers' consent. Democracy only works if the losers in a democratic vote... I've lost so many votes. I've hated the outcome of general elections. We need losers' consent. The problem is that the elites have refused to consent to the vote for Brexit, and in the process they've destroyed democracy in this country.
Oh, so we get to it. He offended her because he called her part of the elite, which of course she is, and like he said, so is he. But where they differ is, he at least wants to honour what the people voted for, where Yazmin has done all she can to block the will of the people, which granted is not much really, since I would expect very few people listen to her, because as we see in this video, all she seems to do is scream like a banshee. Screaming at people does not get you anywhere, but it does seem these Labour supporting shitweasels can do nothing else. My Discord server has learnt this, but as he said, democracy depends on losers' consent, unless you live in Yazmin's dream world, where a majority government elected by the people is now a dictatorship. Now I don't know about you guys, but I would say that interview there would definitely fit the category of a car crash interview. She had no real valid points and instead just screeched a lot of bullshit because Brendan O'Neill hurt her poor fifis. We have actually found out recently how delicate people's feelings really are, so this does not surprise me. But on that note, I am going to end the video there, guys. I've been waffling on for far too long. Before I go, I want to thank our PayPal, Patreon, Subscribestar and YouTube members for supporting the channel, along with everyone who watches my videos. Remember to let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. Leave a like, subscribe with the notification bell and share this video as it helps the channel a lot. And I will see you all in the next one.
And Corbyn neutral by Christmas.
There is a pattern consistent throughout history of oppressed people turning on the oppressors, slaves against their owners, the peasantry against the feudal barons, colonies, Mr Verhofstadt, against their empires, and that is why Britain is leaving. And it doesn't matter which language you use, we are going, and we are glad to be going. We're off.